We know that there are many businesses in the world that are considered evil. But nothing is probably more evil than the brand we don't even realize is all over our kitchens and bathroom counters. After all, this company owns more than 2,000 big brands, from beverage and chocolate products to cosmetics and garments. Because what started as a brand owned by a man who was just trying to help out mothers with difficulties of feeding their kids, it is now a conglomerate that's known to exploit people and even an entire country. Here are 5 shocking reasons why Nestle could be the most evil company in the world. By the way, guys, before I start this video, it's not exactly the smartest thing financially to expose these huge companies, and so I thought this would be a good moment to plug our humanitarian clothing, Honesty That Global, where you can get this and this and this. And when you buy our clothes, not only you get the awesome designs, but you also get to help people. You get to choose the causes you want to help. So thank you so much for your support, and now back to the video. Reason number 1. It fooled mothers to stop breastfeeding their babies. In the mid-1800s in Switzerland, pharmacist and businessman Henry Nestle saw a rise in deaths among infants due to malnutrition because they had trouble breastfeeding. Concerned by this, he created the first ever baby formula to help mothers and babies. He succeeded and helped a lot of mothers, but he had no idea how high the demand for the product would be. So, by 1867, Henry officially started the brand Nestle and mass-produced the breast milk substitute made of cow's milk, wheat and sugar. During this time, he created different kinds of milk products and partnered with a chocolatier to create the first ever milk chocolate. The brand became so successful that Henry couldn't keep up with the stress of running such a big business. I mean, the guy was quite old by the time it became so big. So eventually, he retired and sold the company. With new owners merged with other smaller and competing companies that it acquired, the Nestle Group was formed and expanded all over the world. It created many more products like coffee and instant and canned goods, which brought in so much wealth and power over the next few decades for the company. And unfortunately, from such a wholesome brand, that is when things began to take a dark turn. In the 1970s, sales of baby formula had been slowing down, so the evil Nestle had to do something. And they did something. They found a questionable solution. They decided to scare all the mothers. The company started advertising the original baby formula as superior to breast milk. Even though it is not, it was only meant to be a substitute for those who needed it. They even paid doctors to talk good stuff about their formula. And in developing countries in Africa and Asia, Nestle was accused of even hiring salespeople to dress up as nurses to convince the mothers to use the formula and give up breastfeeding. And all of it worked. Back then, many mothers believed the claims from the professionals and tried the samples that were given to them. And those samples lasted enough for the mothers to stop producing breast milk that they had to start relying on the formula, which, by the way, was quite expensive. Imagine not really needing it, but the company selling the product created the need. That is brilliant marketing, but it's also very evil. And believe it or not, this aggressive marketing made many babies malnourished, leaving them with a higher risk of infection and even death. Crazy stuff. What was once a product to save babies' lives became a product that was dubbed by the media as the baby killer. Protests against the use of the formula began, which forced the World Health Organization to pass an international code of marketing of breast milk substitute in 1981. Nestle backtracked and started mentioning in their ads that breast milk cannot be replaced. Okay, but we're only warming up now. Let's move to the reason number 2, shall we? Its cocoa plantations are involved in child labor and slavery. In the early 2000s, along with other chocolate companies, Nestle was accused of using child labor in the plantations where they get their cocoa. There was even a documentary in 2010 showing that some of these babies were kidnapped and brought to the plantations where they were beaten to force them to work. Nestle promised to get rid of this problem and create products through their slave-free program. They are so nice, aren't they? But at the same time, there is no real proof that they've actually done it. In fact, a 2020 investigation discovered that children as young as 8 years old were picking coffee on the farms of one of Nestle's suppliers. It was reported that some of these kids were working on our sweet products 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, with dangerous conditions that no kids should ever work in. The children were found to carry sacks of beans weighing up to 100 pounds. The company claimed to have zero tolerance of child labor and said that they have taken steps to eradicate such practices among their suppliers. But as of now, only time will tell what is the truth. Reason number 3, it stole water from people and sold it to them. Nestle paid small amounts to the governments in different countries to be able to hoard and divert clean water into their factories to bottle and sell for huge profits. This left the communities around factories with no clean water, including the drinking water. And so the very same water that was taken away from the people, they had to buy back. Because the only other choice would be to drink dirty, unsafe water, which actually happened in Pakistan. In 2013, it was reported that Nestle denied Pakistanis in one village their own water by draining it to bottle and sell. The residents got sick by being forced to drink sludge water, which eventually caused malaria and a lot of deaths. The only solution was to buy water from our beautiful, angelic company, Nestle. In Nigeria, around 7,000 people were killed because of water shortages, mainly caused by Nestle, who had been buying out water resources in the country for the past 50 years. And in Flint, Michigan, in the US, protesters had to fight for clean water for years because they were left with only poisonous water to drink after their governor, who obviously had personal ties to Nestle, sold Michigan's clean water reserves for the company's private use. This disaster is somehow over, but it brought PTSD to the residents of Flint. Taking water and then selling it back to the very people that the water was taken away from, that is definitely one of the most evil things Nestle ever did. But those billions of water bottles sold every year make it even worse. Because our reason number 4, Nestle is one of the top polluters in the world. We already know that single-use plastics are the major water and land pollutants in the world. Well, you probably realize that Nestle is responsible for a huge percentage of that. In fact, it's third on the list of top plastic polluters in the world because of its use of 1.7 million tons of plastic every year. What's more, its factory waste also affected many communities. Like in 2020, a Nestle milk powder plant in France released its biological waste into the Aisne River and killed around 3 metric tons of fish. Nestle has promised to do something about their biological waste, but then again, looking at their track record, it's not exactly clear what they're gonna do. I mean, they don't really have a good excuse to skip on the environmental responsibilities, right? We all know their products. I mean, I just found out that even this t-shirt 100 is owned by Nestle, this company. They own a big chunk of the world and they obviously make tons of money with it, billions of dollars. Which is why the last reason why Nestle is evil really confused a lot of people. Reason number 5. It forced one of the poorest countries to pay them millions of dollars due to a technicality. In 2002, Nestle demanded $6 million from the government of Ethiopia, a country so poor that the average person survives only on $100 per year. It was because a company that Nestle now owns was once seized and nationalized by the Ethiopian government in the 1970s, decades before the acquisition. So Nestle thought that they were entitled to some sweet money. Which technically they were right. But during that time, Nestle made $65 billion in profits, which makes the 6 million very little. The problem is that at that time, Nestle was asking to be paid, as they said, out of principle. Ethiopia was undergoing a great famine due to lack of rainwater. Over 15 million lives were in danger because of it. Thanks to the media and people threatening to boycott Nestle products, the company settled for $1.5 million instead, which they then promised to reinvest in the Ethiopian economy. And that $6 million Nestle was greedy about, well, it could literally save those lives. Now, to be very realistic and honest with you, Nightfam, I am not sitting here to boycott the brand, because I understand how difficult it would be to not use their products. They own so much stuff. I mean, KitKat, it's classic products that a lot of us love, right? So it is not easy to stop using these products. Also, I'm sure that employees of the company just want to make a decent living. But now that you've heard why Nestle might just be the most evil company in the world, it's a huge lesson to remember. To not always trust the words of the big brands. They are brilliant at marketing. They are brilliant at hiding their dirt, the bad actions. But if you dig deeper and really research what some of your favorite companies are doing, maybe you'll be able to here and there swap and choose the people and the companies that have a positive influence on our world. Anyway, thank you so much for spending all this time with me. This is a longer video, so if you're still here, you really care. And if you care, it means that you want to be subscribed to Project Nightfall. So press that button right now. This year, we are taking YouTube seriously. This will be our main platform right now. So get ready for some insanely long, powerful, heavily researched, innovative videos on this channel. Thank you so much. Love you all.